Get ready for a no BS approach to health and fitness. This is NBS Fitness Radio.
All right, welcome back to NBS Fitness Radio. I am here with Rachel Fowler, and Rachel just hit her 1,000th session at NBS, or at least her 1,000th tracked session that she checked in for. Could be a little bit over that. But welcome back onto the podcast, Rachel.
Well, thanks for having me.
Awesome. So, I was kind of thinking about some questions that I wanted to ask you that were maybe a little bit different from last time. And one that came to mind was, can you reflect back and think of like how your views of health and fitness have shifted like over your decades? Do you remember how it was in your maybe teens and then your 20s and your 30s? And as you've kind of gone throughout life, how that has shifted?
So I think my views of health and fitness, for sure, late teens, early 20s, it would have just only been focused on like appearance. Like, I just want to stay skinny, or I don't want to I want to like fit in my clothes. Like, I don't want to gain weight. And that would have been the only thing I was focused on for a very long time. And I don't think so I started NBS when I was 36. I'm 41 now. So that was the first time I ever really started doing anything involving weight training. And so I feel like over the past 5 years, it's been a shift from, okay, oh, what? Like, I could get stronger. Like, I'm getting stronger, and then the shift from just an appearance thing to, I feel like my body moves better, or enjoying like a deep squat,
Yeah.
At some point in my day, if I have to get something out of a lower cabinet, be like, oh yeah, get down there in a deep squat. Instead of like lamenting having to bend over or something. I don't know. And so I am enjoying like feeling like my body moves well most of the time. Of course, it's funny. I did pull a muscle last week, but I also feel like that's been like recovering a lot more quickly. So yeah, it's ironic. With me talking about moving now.
Have you ever pulled a muscle before then?
Oh yeah. So the first time was the worst time. That was long before I ever came to NBS. And of course, thinking back, I'm like, I probably wouldn't have pulled it in the first place if I had been like training. But I was like late 20s, several young kids throwing a double stroller in the back of a car several times over a weekend, and then like wrenched this muscle in my lower back. So it's really been kind of a problem spot off and on. But I do still overall, I'm way stronger than I was at that point in time. So it's been just like, well, the injury rate in life is 100%.
Right. You're going to get
So, I mean, it's like I can't run parallel versions of reality at the same time. Who knows? Maybe I would have had like awful trouble, you know what I mean, with it if I hadn't been here. But anyway, so that hasn't been a big issue, but I do overall, I feel like my body like moves and functions better. And so now it's like my goals are more like, ooh, what could I do? Like, could I get to the point that I could do this or that? Or we did sign up and do a 5K. Like, I'm a really, really terrible runner. But you know what? At age 40, I ran my first 5K. So there's that. It was the slowest thing ever, but I would have never signed up for that,
Yeah.
Anyway.
Okay, cool. So sounds like kind of earlier on, it was more just physique based. And then as you kind of experience what was possible, that experience and opened up even new possibilities and excitement around all that. What were like the influences early in life that made you go think through or see fitness through more the lens of physique?
I think I would hear like my dad and mom both exercised. My dad especially exercised a lot, but I would hear him talk about that when he was in college or his younger years before I was ever born, that he like struggled with his weight and he was heavier and then he lost a bunch of weight, but then he was basically actively working to maintain that. So I think I would just hear them talking about that. And I was on like the dance team. And so like, I didn't want to be all hanging out in my dance team uniform, I guess. I don't know. So, and then probably my personality type, 100%. My personality type more concerned about appearances. than than perhaps others. So that probably influenced it.
Yeah, that makes sense. Um, how do you feel like that shift from um kind of being more physique focused to now kind of more activity possibility focused? How does that how does that change how you view other people's lenses in which they see health and fitness? I guess what I'm kind of getting at is, do you find that most people view health and fitness through the lens of physique? And then now that you, when you're engaging them in any kind of conversations, like how has that changed?
Well, I don't know. I think because I'm a nurse practitioner, so I'm like mainly when you say that, I think about patients. But yeah, I think a lot of folks just think about when it comes to their body and fitness, they just think about like, man, I need to lose weight or something. And then that would just be like the ultimate goal. They can't even think of anything beyond that because that's been such an unachievable goal, or they've yo-yoed back and forth. Um, but like I feel better than I ever have in my adult life. Like I feel like my body moves and functions better, and I'm for sure stronger than I've ever been in my adult life. And so I want other people to feel good too, and I want them to um, not feel like their body's breaking down. I hear people my age talking about, oh, I'm getting so old, my body's breaking down.
Yeah, like
um,
at 20, do you think your 20-year-old self would think that you would look, feel, and have the mindset performance at 41 that you do now?
No, no, because I remember sitting in a circle of ladies and talking about, oh yeah, I've been married a few years because I got married when I was 20. And then they were like, what, you've been married that long? And I said, oh yeah, I was really young when I got married. I'm not super old. I'm not like 40. And I remember saying that. And so it's hilarious that and then and then also later on it dawned on me that somebody in that circle was a 40-year-old woman. And I'm like, Rachel, you're an idiot. But no, I definitely wouldn't have. I don't know what I would have thought. I think I would have just assumed that, yeah, I was going to have to accept this gradual decline and hope to just decline gracefully. And that would have been like my highest hope for middle age or whatever I'm in.
Yeah. Yeah, that I'm in the same boat. I was training in my 20s. Um, but I guess I kind of didn't not have the clarity that, oh, at 40 I can be daggum near just as fit as I was at 20. And so, when I engage with other 40-year-olds, they, yeah, it's like more of a, I think what they tie into age is really just the byproduct of lack of fitness and lack of training. It's like your knees hurting or your back hurting or you're getting overweight or what the stuff is like, it's not necessarily because you're 40, it's because you've got now 20 years of not being active. Uh,
Yeah.
So it's less it has far less to do with your age. I mean, obviously, as we continue to age, there's going to be some type of physical decline, but like it's not like it's not like it's super accelerating by the time you get 40. You can be just as fit
Right.
at 40 as you were at 25, 30, or whatnot. Um, what have been you've been like super consistent. Can I tell people how frequently you train and how long you've been at MBS doing this?
Yeah. So March will be 5 years. And because well it was great timing. So right before everything like shut down with the pandemic, right before that I had like two kickstarts. So like I did a kickstart in one of the coaches garages. I did some of the Zoom classes at first, but it was awkward because I didn't really like know the other people in the class yet, but they're like seeing my house, on Zoom anyway. So that was interesting, but then also at first, the ages of our kids for the first little bit, my husband and I had to kind of like stagger or alternate. Yeah. But then eventually it got to where they were old enough. And we had kind of a good system set up where we could leave them alone because we come at 5 a.m. So they're asleep the whole time anyway. And so then it was like, oh, I'm going to come in 2 or 3 days a week. And then I remember at one point, my husband being like, do we have to go 5 days? I'm like, I don't know why we wouldn't. I don't know why we wouldn't just come on in 5 days. But so yeah, I'm a 5 day a weeker, like hardcore, 5 a.m., my Cordova 5 a.m. family. But going ahead and deciding I'm going Monday through Friday, there's no decision making anymore. I don't have to worry about whether or not I'm going to the gym. I'm going, period. Unless I'm like really, really injured or like deathly ill,
Yeah.
which I also feel like I get sick less often. But I don't have to decide. I'm going to the gym anyway. So
Yeah, you actually feel like it's easier to be consistent by going 5 days versus like 2 or 3 days. Because you just said the decision is I'm going to the gym. You're not looking at the workouts or going like, how do I feel today?
right,
I'm going to the workout.
right. And I may absolutely look at workouts and say, oh, I'm gonna like try to do brown on this day, and then the next day I may be like barely doing blue, but I'd rather just go anyway. If I'm super sore, like it's not gonna be better for me just like sitting around more. So uh
What's yeah, what's changed and like maybe how you're what's changing how your body feels or also like maybe your progress from going from like 2 or 3 days a week to 5 days.
well, I didn't stay at the 2 or 3 day a week thing for long, but I mean, progress wise, there was a point in time. So from 2022 to 24, I was part-time working, mom, wife, and in school. And so I had kind of 2 years where I did good enough CrossFit. Like, I'm not kidding. And so it was just good enough. And so maybe like orange or blue, that was my jam. Like there was no reason for me to even look past that on the chart. I'm not yeah, blue's cool, and so I I didn't I haven't like made any impressive gains in some areas, and my overall level is still orange, guys. 5 years in, still orange three. Okay, but that is
What's
okay.
your limiter?
So I have four categories that are orange. So rings,
Okay.
pull up. Still haven't got my first pull up yet. Still haven't got my first chin up yet. And then the upper lower endurance because of the push ups in it.
Got it.
And then double unders that it took me 2.5 years to get my first double under. And then I've only done two in a row like a couple times ever. So please be encouraged. Anybody out there that's like 6 months in and you're not getting double under, if you get one of the, I mean, it took me 2.5 years.
Well, no, I think that is encouraging is because what you're saying is like I feel better than I ever have. I've got more confidence in myself than I ever have. I've been training consistently and and you haven't sat there and go like, well, if I'm just not skyrocketing up in progress, then you're not getting defeated by that. You're just you,
Yeah.
you're allowing your body to adapt at the rate it's going to adapt with the recognition that like, oh, this is something important to me. I'm going to do it for a long time as I'll get there when I get there.
Yes. And I mean, also with the recognition, no joke, for 2 years that I was like, I don't care if I level up in anything because I had like a lot of hats that I was wearing and I was really just happy to be there. Um,
Well, I
so
mean that, but
yeah,
that's, I mean, I'll just reiterate what you said. You're a mom of four.
yeah.
You were working full time as a physician, uh,
Well, nurse
nurse
practitioner. Yeah.
practitioner, and going to school full time.
Yeah. So I got the school part done. So that's good. But,
Uh,
um,
but you're able to balance like all of that and still find time to exercise. Which I say there's three reasons people quit or don't exercise: time, money, pain. And for a lot of people, it's like I don't have the time.
yeah.
You're kind of pointing out that you had a lot of responsibilities on you and you
Yeah. Yeah.
still kind of found the time. So my challenge to people would be like, do you have more than four kids or are you
No.
working full time and going to school? Because like if Rachel could do it, you probably could find the time.
Yeah.
So how did you
No, and
find the time? What did you do?
yeah, I'm the type now I do like a nice full plate. So I'm not the type person who gets overwhelmed by, two errands to run that day. And that's there's nothing wrong. Some people do, and it's just different personality type. But also I was already in the habit of going to the gym before I started school, so that helped. It would be hard to jump into that when you already were in school, but um I just know there's nothing typically yet in my life, nothing else is scheduled at 5 a.m. And so even kids getting ready for school does not occur until I get back home. And I mean,
Right.
they get themselves up anyway, but because I'm really big on like, you need to learn to be an independent human being. So you can set an alarm. Anyway, We just
Well,
have
and
a set leaving time. So just, I need you to be in the van, ready to go by this time. Cool. Anyway,
I think
but
that goes back to if someone was saying, like I've heard people say in the past, they've used their kids' nutritional desires as a reason for why they can't eat good. And I've tried to, you know, encourage them or guide them to say, you must set the standards for, what healthy
yeah,
fitness is going to look like in your life. And you're saying like, I wasn't willing to let my kids or I wasn't going to use the excuse.
yeah,
I gotta get my kids ready in the morning. It's like I will teach my kids how to get themselves ready
right.
because it's good for them, but it's also necessary for me as a mom to have my workout in the morning. And so
Yeah. I'm a lot nicer when, you know what I
exactly.
mean? By the time they all flood in the kitchen and I've got a bunch of people talking to me, I've been awake for a couple hours. And that really is, no matter what I had done for those couple hours, that's really, really helpful to give me a little longer fuse. But I will say the nutrition thing is really hard. Um, but yeah, the more I have not arrived when it comes to like all healthy foods in the house, and my kids never eat anything that came out of a package. But I will say, like, when I'm cutting up fruit or I'm, cutting up veggies or I'm making something that is very colorful, like, they're more interested, than they would be if they never saw that food in our house. And then we've figured out that like the salad mixes, that there's a bunch of different flavors, like the little prepackaged bag salad. I love those things. And it's all in there. And my kids will tolerate that better than maybe like steamed broccoli. Like, because my daughter was like, well, at least all I can taste is the dressing. Perfect. But like, I don't know. At least you're getting used to how something besides goldfish tastes.
Yeah.
And so it's it is challenging, but it's definitely not impossible. And I have to kind of pick my battles, but um yeah,
I
we're getting there.
think with the kids' nutrition, it is I'm trying to limit their exposure to things that are not nutritious and good for them while increasing their exposure to things that are nutritious and good for them with the recognition that like it ain't going to be perfect. So it's
Right,
like,
right.
just, can I just like, I'm not throwing in the towel and just saying like, all right, guys, just have away at Gushers and Fruit by the Foot.
Right. No,
but,
well, the other
but
day
like,
my daughter. Hmm?
well, you said like, how do I get my kids to school with food that they'll actually eat that they don't have to like prep or microwave? And it's like, well, sometimes you got to put some packaged stuff in there, right?
Right, right. And the other day, my daughter asked me, like, can I have an apple? And I was like, honey, you can pretty much always. The answer is yes. I mean, even if we're just about to eat dinner, I don't care if you eat an apple, So,
Right.
like, you can have an apple whenever you
Unlimited.
want. Yeah, unlimited. Yeah. If we're
How
running
did
out,
you?
write it on the list.
Yeah, go for it. So how were you able to be consistent at that 5 a.m.? What did you make some adjustments to a nighttime routine to be able to kind of be there consistently?
So that is the hardest part. I'm a morning person. I mean, nobody wants to get up at 4:20 in the morning, but I mean, you can get used to that. And when people say I cannot get up that early, if you were flying to the Caribbean and your flight left at 5 a.m., could you get up that early? Yes, you could. Yes, you could. Or if you had a really important surgery schedule and they told you had to be there at 6 a.m., I bet you could get up. You know what I mean? Like, now that's not over and over again. That's different. But if it's important enough to you, you physically can get up. But yeah, the nighttime part is hard, of like trying to get in bed and be asleep at 9:30, which
Yeah.
I'm not, at best I get 50% of the time achieving that goal. But I mean, I've even tried like setting an alarm for 9 p.m. that's like, it's time to get ready for bed. So like whatever you're doing right now, stop it and go get ready for bed. And Daniel's like, why is there an alarm going off? I'm like, well, so it's just reminding me to like stop scrolling on your phone to me, and just whatever you're doing, it could probably, you don't have to do this right now. Just go get ready for bed. Um, and so that's the most challenging part. And I will say, like, we used to like maybe have a show that we would follow and watch, and maybe watch an episode any evening that we could, just one episode. And so I have not watched, had a show that I'm following in a long time. So sports, I love watching sports at night, but it's easy for me to turn that off. I don't have to see the end of the game most of the time. Um, But yeah, I'm not on social media, and I just really don't watch a lot of shows that are an hour long that I'm really invested in. So I know that may be meaningful to people, but that's not. I just don't. That's not a part of my evening.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty similar with us. I would say, um, like the way I look at it is, if I'm putting together like my priorities, and really when I'm reflecting back to like what do I want when I turn 50 or 60 and 70, and then I look back and like what do I want this time in my life to look like when I had the recognition that this is the hardest part of life, being in your late 30s, early 40s with maximum job responsibilities, maximum family responsibilities, and trying to juggle everything. It's also a period of time where you've come out of your 20s where you feel like you're invincible, and you're not quite into like your 50s, 60s where like you're in the you've got a little bit of life experience, and that's the time in life where people are the most satisfied. We just happen to be in the time of life where like dissatisfaction is at the highest because you have the most responsibilities. So, anyways, when I look, I kind of think through those lenses and go, am I ever going to look back and go, man, I just am sure am thankful that I got through all those episodes of whatever
Yeah,
on Netflix. So I say, hey, like 1000%, I'm going to get my family time. 1000%, I'm going to get my workout in. I'm going to get my devotion in. So that leaves no time for anything TV related. So
yeah,
watch TV ever. We watch
yeah.
a show maybe on Friday, Saturday night if we feel like it and don't decide just to go to bed first. It's like that is a sacrifice we make. But I would say, and I imagine you're kind of in the same boat. It's like once you kind of do that, it doesn't feel like you don't feel like you're missing out on anything.
Oh yeah, no. And I mean, we'll watch shorter things, a 20-minute YouTube video, that kind of thing. But it's um I definitely don't feel like I'm missing out on some sort of TV show or something. Then like, TV will pretty much always be there,
Right.
Um, so
They're,
I could go back and watch it later. Yeah.
it's, you know, yeah. When I reflect back, I'm never like, man, yeah, I sure am so glad like that added so much to my life. And when I look
Right.
at people, when I look at people who like may have sacrificed their family time or sacrificed their physical fitness, I go, that doesn't look like an investment that returned well for them. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna try to avoid that. So you kind of just said, hey, like we're just gonna have to make some sacrifices to our nighttime routine so we get enough sleep so we can wake up early and help stay consistent that way. What are some other things that helped you just be so consistent?
Well, I mean, just your accountability of your folks in class with you, which is just the magic of group fitness. I guess when it's other folks that that you've talked about, oh, the workout tomorrow, oh gosh, but I'll see you tomorrow. Like, I told them I was coming, or they know I'm coming, and so unless something crazy happens, I'm gonna be there. And I had another lady in class, she was like, oh, I didn't want to come, but she was like, well, I think Rachel's gonna be there. And so it was like, oh, I know she'll be there to like suffer with me.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's been helpful. And then I just feel better. My day goes better when I've worked out that morning. So like last week, missed Tuesday because my back was pretty sore. But then like at work, I'm just more foggy headed because I've only been awake for like 2 hours when I get there. And other people may function fine that way, but I just know I'm not like mentally as sharp because I hadn't had my blood pumping that morning, from some exercise. So um anyway, I feel better. I feel like I do a better job at work
Yeah, so you
when
get
I've
that kind of
exercised
like
in the morning.
instantaneous feedback of like I didn't work out today. I don't feel good. I better go back and work out. Like
Right,
make
right.
sure I get
Yeah,
to the gym tomorrow so that I feel better tomorrow.
yeah.
Yeah.
So then Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I just did the white level workout. Like, thank goodness for the white workout. Yeah, I was like, it was great. And then
Well, yeah,
um,
that's
it's
another thing.
very helpful that that's listed every day. Yeah, if you need a day to recuperate or whatever.
I think that goes back to the sense is like you predetermine that I'm going to work out today. So I'll just figure out whatever I need to do today based off of whatever my body feels like and whatever I may be dealing with. But like it's never a question whether I'm going to work out, it's just what kind of workout or what will it look like or you know that.
Yeah.
Where if if someone's struggling to decide to go to the gym, if they're using like my back's kind of hurt, whatever, as like a kind of justification for not going to the gym, you're just showing like, hey, it's still valuable to go to the gym. I'm feel better that I did, and I'm glad that I did. Yeah.
Right. Or like I knew the dreaded bike, like the bike didn't bother me at all. So like if I didn't really get, if the white workout wasn't super hard for me, well then I'll just hop on do 30 or 40 calories on the bike.
Worst
That will
case
be plenty hard
scenario.
enough. Yeah.
How how has your fitness impacted your family? I'm thinking maybe because you guys go and you do vacations and you go to national parks. I'm assuming you're doing some hiking and stuff like that. So like, how has it impacted how you guys engage, engage as a family?
Well, I mean, we were pretty active even before I started training more consistently, but I definitely feel like I'm able to like keep up with everybody a lot better. Because I have um since teenage years, I have a kneecap that pops out of place, so like I have to wear a knee brace, but like that a lot is tied to having weak quads. And so like the stronger my quads get, the more stable my slippy kneecap is. Anyway, so I yeah, I feel like we've done probably more challenging stuff than I would have otherwise. Or like when we went to the Grand Canyon, um, one my oldest child and my dad and my husband and I hiked down into the canyon just like um I can't remember, maybe a mile down, but it was a lot. Anyway, because
Yeah.
it was also like midday. We didn't plan it out to be like early morning when it wouldn't be so hot anyway. But like, I don't think I would have ever even tried that, so, um, that's cool, and then my oldest child as well. Anyway, so yeah, I'm probably just more ambitious and less fearful because
Yeah.
otherwise I'm probably more of a like play it safe or don't do something where I'm going to fail. And
Yeah.
so the gym is good. Like I'm going to do stuff where I have a chance of failing over and over again. And so that's been helpful of I don't have to be afraid if I fail. I mean, I just try it again the next time, if I don't get that power clean, like I might as well try it,
Yeah,
even
for sure.
like because everybody in here gets to a point when they're trying to level up where they fail, because it's going to get to a weight that's too heavy that you can't do. And so I think that's been good uh, to help me to try things that like otherwise I would be scared because I might fail.
It makes sense that like we would, yeah, you might not attempt something because of failure for fear of failure. And that, what is that? Why would that be? Like, is it I don't other people to see me fail or, whatever it be. But once you in the gym, that is one of the major social fears that people have about coming to the gym is like, I'm out of shape and then I'll kind of embarrass myself and other people. And you kind of like, once you're there and you realize like, nope, everyone here is failing on some level
Yeah.
and no one's going to judge you for it. In fact, they're going to support you through it. And it's like, it's okay. And so then you kind of build a comfort level with that and say, oh, like we could try this. And well, what if it doesn't work? It's like, I don't know, figure it out. Like we're okay.
Yeah.
I've never failed something before. Like I've got,
Right.
got life experience of trying hard things and some of them working out and experiencing the joy of that. And some of them not working out. I'm going, okay, well, I gotta go back to the drawing board and come at it again.
Well, and my personality type, like I wake up in the morning to achieve, okay, not to fail, David. Okay. But so it's really, really good that like for example, in the middle of a workout, like my push-ups have gone away. Like I've
As it,
collapsed mid push-up and that's it, guys. I have no more, and have to like move to an elevated surface or something. But just reminding myself that like my identity is not tied up in whether or not I achieved a push up that morning. Like it's more a part of my identity that I'm a person who works out. Not
Exactly.
not that I have to like achieve and make 100 on everything at the gym. And so that's really good for me personally. And just to, yeah, it's part of growth as a human to fail at something. You are
I was
not going to go through your life unless you just play it super safe all the time, and just win at everything you do. Um, so anyway.
how has it impacted your relationship with your daughters? Like, have they commented or like kind of how they see you in light of all this?
Recently, it was just a few Saturdays ago, I decided I think the snow or something had affected to where the gym was closed for a day or something. And I was like, oh, okay, I'll go on a Saturday. And it was a partner workout. And last minute, I asked my youngest two daughters, at that time, they were 8 and 10, like, hey, y'all want to come with me? And they were like, yeah. And so, anyway, so I knew the 10-year-old would be like into it. Anyway, she's like the let's go kind of girl. Anyway, so we get there and I kind of thought, I was like, I bet it's going to be a low attendance class. I was the only one there, but it
Mm.
was really cool. And Johnny was coaching and he did a great job of tolerating my children and engaging them. But so my 10-year-old was my partner for the workout, but we were able to like, it was three movements. It was ring rows, which she can do ring rows. It was toes to bar. Well, she can lie on the ground and do leg raises and bike. And she can bike, And so she and it was the back and forth 40 seconds on, 20 seconds off. Anyway, it was a perfect partner with your kid workout. There were no
Yeah.
barbells. I wasn't worried about them like smashing their toe or something, or getting hit in the head or whatever. But I'm still very new at toes to bar, but I can do a few, I can alternate between that and leg raises. But I remember I was trying, to do this and I heard them go, whoa. And that was like the sweetest little moment of, other people, they don't know other people can do like 30 of these in a row, or whatever. But, even just me hanging from the bar, because, my 10-year-old tried to hang from the bar and like, just for a
Hard.
moment, then she's down. Anyway, so it was the cutest thing to hear them go, whoa. And then another time when they had watched me do something and I had the bar up over my head and they were like, wow. And I had the green plates on my bar. There was 45 pounds on the bar, but they were like, because it looked heavy. Anyway, and so it's been very sweet to see, not that they're impressed with me, but just like, whoa, mommy, like probably just mommy can do hard things. And I hope that will translate into, I'm going to try hard things.
Sure.
Uh,
Yeah, I mean, I recall my dad lifting, they were 20-pound dumbbells
yes.
in like seventh grade and just being like, trying to pick it up. Yeah, this thing's so heavy. Like, you're strong.
Yeah.
And, and yeah, I mean, when my kids, like, they'll come in and they'll watch me doing something, they go, daddy, go, and you're like, it's like, there's just an emotional reaction to like having like your kid, um, recognize what you're doing, the hard work you put in, and then also kind of like, good, like this is exactly what I want you guys to see. I want you to see me doing this and this be part of our regular life and see dad struggle and be okay with it and maybe fail and be okay with it and do hard things and be okay with it. And not even just be okay with it, but kind of like smile about it and high five each other and kind of like talk about it. So, yeah, I mean, I love the fact that your kids have gotten to see you and experience you along your fitness journey and kind of think through like, well, how does that flesh out later on in their life?
Yeah. Um,
Now, I
but it
will
was,
say this: the flip of it is my kids get the punishment of a 25-year experience workout person because I'm like, all right, you guys get 50 burpees because you didn't know you disobeyed, and they're like, oh. I still just starts out with 20, and then all right, 30 burpees,
uh-huh.
50 burpees, 50 burpees. You want to do 60? They're like, nope. All right, let's start my burpees.
I know, I know. I like slow punishment. And so, I mean, slow punishment that you have to do with me. I've scrubbed grout with a kid. And all sorts of, anyway. Yeah.
Experience the fullness of adult life. Yes, we don't get to do just fun things all the time.
I know.
We gotta scrub grout. Um, how do you feel like this has impacted your work as a nurse? Well, one to kind of explain to people who you work with, and then maybe talk about how it's impacted that.
Yeah, so I'm a family nurse practitioner and I work with it's called a federally qualified health center, which is kind of, you would think of it like a charity clinic type thing, but we do get government funding and donations to see people that don't have insurance. We also for sure take TennCare and Medicare and regular insurance as well. If somebody just happens to live near our clinic and has insurance, and that's a close primary care place, but we have a lot of uninsured folks. And then so for a lot of my patients, unfortunately, they may have just learned that we're there. They may have not been to the doctor in years. I have lots of patients, and it doesn't matter with or without insurance. There's lots of people in America who have a lot of health problems. Um, but I feel like several things, like having a routine. For one thing, why would I be qualified to like tell somebody to like work on their health and fitness if I'm not working on my health and fitness? So don't even get me started on medical people who seemingly are not doing anything. They're doing zero to work on their own health and fitness. I'm not saying everybody's got to be like, training for the CrossFit games, but
Right.
anyway, so yeah, when I share to people like, yeah, I actually go like before work, I go to a class and that helps me. And that's when I have time because I know it's busy. Because I'll say, do you exercise? I ask almost every patient, especially if they're there for something lifestyle related, which is almost every patient. Do you exercise? Oh, and they'll say, I walk a lot at work. I'm like, that is good. That is better than sitting all day at work. But do you get any, there's some magic happens when you have a plan and intention, even if it was just 15 minutes, something. But also I have found, like for back pain, for example, there's a great, um, little patient handout that has some things like bird dogs and glute bridges and stuff like that on there that has a easy to understand pictures. Um, and I'll print those out pretty much anytime somebody's coming in for an ortho type complaint and be like, look, I can write you whatever medicine, but a pill never fixed anybody's back pain ever, ever. And I mean, it may band-aid it, but like this, a pill bottle is not going to fix your back. And then I hand them this paper and I'll be like, hey, and also it says on here, like, do this 3 sets of 10 every day. So this also is not something that you do one time and then you're going to be cured. Yeah. And I have found patients are actually very receptive to this. Like they know that
Right.
there's not just going to be a quick fix for this, but actually here's something I could do at home. I mean, some of the stretches they could do on their bed, like if they can't get on the floor. Um, anyway, but I just don't think I would have really recommended so much of the movement as medicine
Right.
if I wasn't moving regularly, if that makes sense. So
What's the kind of typical response that you get from those patients?
now sometimes I'll get a big eye roll, but more honestly, the majority of the time they're looking through like, oh, okay, like like that, just surprised or they'd never thought about that. They hadn't thought about um just movement patterns affecting their back pain or their knee pain or um
What
just
about
a
for
lot
like
of folks' health literacy is quite low. So
what about for like heart disease or like blood pressure, lipids, A1C, diabetes? Like what's their response to being kind of shown, hey, like this is a lifestyle disease. Medication is not going to fix it, but you could fix it. Like, what's their response to that?
well, I just a lot of times, especially if somebody's pre-diabetic, I'd be like, now this is reversible, right? And then sometimes people will be like, what? And like majority of the time, you could reverse pre-diabetes, because it's not so far gone to where, things have you've got your whole pancreas is destroyed or whatever. Like this most of the time, this could be reversed. And I will very commonly have people look like nobody's ever, bothered to tell them that before. Um, and I have a growing number of patients who will be like, I don't want another pill.
Mm.
I don't want another medicine. And so then we need to have a really long discussion about food. You know what I mean? Because um yeah, you need to stop putting things in your body that are actively making you sicker. And so um
So, okay. Why do you think that is? I think there's a common belief that that people won't, or they're not interested in lifestyle changes. They want the quick fix, they want the pill. Um and I'm hearing you say that like that's has not generally been the case, that people are unaware or interested in like, oh, like there's other options here. So why is, as someone who's medically trained, like why do you feel like that is the case, that it's not presented to them quite as often, or we are so quick to present a pill option?
well, and oh, and I also in December I got my lifestyle medicine certification. Whoop whoop. Anyway, so
Right.
it's for one thing, I think people sometimes they're wanting a quick fix. They're wanting, look, I never had problems with my knee before and now it hurts and I just want to stop because 2 weeks ago my knee didn't bother me and I just need to stop because I have this important meeting or I have this trip coming up or whatever. Um, I honestly find that a lot with more like affluent patients. Like, I need you to fix this now because we're going to Europe, or whatever.
Right.
But I mean it wouldn't just it's not just my Christ community patients anyway. But also, what's quicker is for me to walk in the room and tell you you need another medicine and write it and walk out. And so it is a lot easier to just refill something because I'm stressed because I have, you know, overbooked. I've got too many patients and everybody's sick and everybody needs a million things and and I'm stressed because I don't know how to cope with my own stress and I'm not working on my own health and fitness anyway. And
Gotcha.
so it takes a lot longer, to see a patient and like go through like, well, tell me what like for the last 24 hours, everything you ate. Just what'd you have for dinner last night? Well, then what about one meal before that? What about before that? Um, and so, and I just think sometimes people they know like, gosh, I got to change how I'm eating, but they just need to hear it from somebody else too. And also just I'm more and more of my patients eat out every meal
Yeah.
every meal. And so they may only eat once, twice a day, but that food did not come from their house. And just, we might just could we just try one day a week? Yeah. To make something and make enough that you could eat it 2 different days, and then at least we could start to chip away at the endless fast food and takeout and DoorDash and
Right.
you don't even have to leave your couch. You can get fast food delivered to you.
What what is the success rate or of them making those lifestyle changes? Like how often do you see people making those lifestyle changes?
It's very low. I mean, like if I was, I don't know if out of 100 people that I talk to them about changing their diet, maybe three of them come back and have. I don't know. It can get very disheartening because it's not a big return on investment on the
Right.
time that I put in.
Yeah.
But I'm still going to try. Like I don't want to not tell you about this like tool that you have in your toolbox of moving your body and eating better. So,
What do you think is needed to help them implement those lifestyle changes?
oh, a bunch of things. For one thing, it's really hard if you're like nobody in your house exercises. Everybody sits around the couch all day long.
Yeah.
Or I'm a patient and she like was just lying in bed most of the day watching TV. And anyway, but if you don't have any concept of like, you know, what what type of exercise, if you live in an unsafe neighborhood and so even just going for a walk around the block is not maybe not the best thing, but you don't have a car so you can't drive to the gym. And so, but you know what? There's all sorts of workout videos on YouTube, and I know that's hard to get motivated, but I mean, that it's an option.
Right.
Um, and then I think some folks really just don't know like what they should be eating, what any concept. Anyway, so I've
Yeah.
just grown up in an environment where nobody around me is healthy. No one, or I'll have patients tell me, they'll say, everybody in my family is big, but I mean, like just really poor health.
Right.
Um, and so that's challenging. And then some of my patients do move from like one disaster in their life to the next. So it's like a financial crisis, and then there's a transportation crisis, and then somebody had a health crisis, and that it is really hard when you're in the middle of a crisis for preventive anything. Um, so that's why it's just so important before you get to a crisis, to go ahead and start working on this stuff.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, that makes sense. What do you so what about affluent clients? What do you feel like the gap, or what's keeping them, or what do they need to be able to implement the lifestyle habits?
Oh, well, for anybody, also, if I've been eating a certain way my whole life, food is so tied to our culture and our identity that I feel like in some ways when you're asking somebody to change how they're eating, it's like changing who they are. And that could be no matter how much money you make, um, whether it's just that, well, I always eat out every day for lunch or whatever, that I don't, what do you mean? Like take a meal? Like that's boring. Like I
Yeah.
like to socialize during lunch or whatever it is. Or I always drink every night. That's my like nightcap before bed. Like, what do you mean cut down on alcohol? Um, what do you know how many calories are in your 2 beers that you have every night or whatever?
Right.
Um, so but also, yeah, just sometimes people maybe more affluent than, yeah, they have this really important job, and then maybe they work longer hours and they just feel like they don't have any time.
Yeah.
Um, but you do. You just, it's just, yeah, if it's really, really important to you, you'll make time for it. And then for me, sometimes when I was in school, I was so busy, I would have to stand there in my kitchen. I would think, okay, what is absolutely crucial that I need to do? Like the next thing I need to do, because if it doesn't happen, it's really bad. Okay, breakfast. I need to eat breakfast. Like I'm not gonna be good for anything about it. Okay, what's the next thing? I need to pack my lunch, and then like the laundry can wait. I need to have lunch because I have to take my lunch. And so, but like prioritizing, if something's really important to me, you go ahead and do that first. And so that's just the whole 5 a.m. class. It's very important. I'm gonna just go ahead and do it first.
Yep.
So
Yeah, James in the book Atomic Habits, he makes a statement that like every habit that you implement is a vote for the type of person that you are.
yeah, yeah. I've heard that as well.
And, kind of what you were talking about just illustrates all that. It's not just a change what you do, it's change who you are thing, and that can
Right,
be very difficult. Like I identify as like I come home and I do this, and this is the way I interact. So what do you mean change this habit? It's not as
right.
that. It's like change how I view myself.
And trying to get to the point where I'm gonna, yeah, when I make good choices and I'm prioritizing like my long-term health over my short-term happiness. And that's hard. Yeah. And that's not like I do that all the time. But yeah, that like at the core of who I am, I'm going to care more about my health long term than my happiness in the right now, which is
Yeah,
really
that
caring
makes
more about my happiness long term than my happiness right now.
like
But
it's happiness. It's more like pleasure. It's like you're happy that like watching
yeah,
TV doesn't make you happy. It's just a dopamine pleasure hit, right? I
yeah,
mean,
yeah.
you,
Well, it's
I
just
don't
a numb escaping the moment. But yeah.
know.
Also, the point, when you end a workout and you're like lying on the floor gasping for air, those moments also, I don't know what brought this to my mind, but like, um, I've heard somebody talk about like people that are super stressed. In that moment, when you just finished a really hard workout and all you can think about is breathing, that's all you're thinking about right then. And it's a great way to like clear your mind because breathing is really, it trumps everything else in your body. You will deal with pain, but you will not deal with not breathing. And so I don't know, it's just a good reset for the day as well.
Yeah, it's a good reminder. Like there's there's a statement that says like too tired and stressed to find time to exercise. You should try exercising.
I know.
But it's like the reminder that the thing that seems too out of reach is the thing that you must implement to get all the rest of the stuff. So like the whole idea of like I'm stressed out. It's like yes, because you spend all day here and you never get down here. Like you
Yeah.
have an outlet for that stress. You will be far less stressed. I know it sounds crazy doing something where your heart rate shoots out the roof because guess what? You won't be thinking about any of that other stuff.
Right.
You'll just be thinking about how can I get more oxygen.
Right.
The whole idea of like I don't have time to train. You go well. Understand every minute of exercise increases your life expectancy by 3 minutes. So if you don't have time to train now, at some point you're going to hit a crisis of health, and that
Yeah.
becomes, and then you don't, then that's the only thing that's important because once you hit a health crisis, that's gets escalated to number one. And if it doesn't work out in your favor, you pass away, then you're definitely not gonna have any time.
I know.
But the whole idea,
Well,
like I don't have time right now to work out. It's like, well, dude, you're definitely not going to have time 10 years from now when you're super sick.
yeah. I that's I try to just work with folks like if they just be like, look, I've used before the 7 minute workout for women app. I'm telling you, I tried everything before I ever did CrossFit, and it would have like 10-minute options, and it was basically like EMOM, but every minute was different, like high knees, butt kickers, jumping jacks, something. I've done that in my kitchen before because the floor in the kitchen wasn't as loud, and I didn't want to wake up my children. So like, yeah, there's something that you could get started on. But I know, and then motivation that, it's hard. People say, oh, I just can't get motivated. Well, motivation, I can't think of the right way to say it. It's like activity leads to motivation, not the other way around. So if you wait until you're ready to start working out, you're never going to start working out. Like you start doing the thing and then you'll kind of feel more like doing it.
1,000%. Yeah. Well, Rachel, man, I'm super proud of you. So glad that you're at MBS. It's been awesome to watch you train and be a part of the community and improve and I love to hear that you're taking some of these lessons, applying them to your family, applying them to your work community and the Memphis community. So just want to say thank you, congrats, and thanks for coming on the podcast.
All right, thanks for having me.
All right, MBS Fitness Radio out.
Thank you for listening to NBS Fitness Radio. If you enjoyed the podcast, be sure to share it with your friends, follow us on social media, and check out our website at www.nbsfitness.net. Hit the subscribe button and tune in next time for more NBS Fitness Radio.